so this is my contribution for this week. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my personal organization. I am a regional clinical director for an ABA company here in Georgia. Over the last year and a half, we've had a lot of organizational changes that have impacted all the employees, the BCBAs, RPTs, everyone involved. So I wanted to respond directly to the discussion questions posed this week. One of the discussion questions was, out of all three of the levels of the organization, which one do we think impacts the organization most? So I think that's kind of a trick question. I think that all levels impact the organization. So if we looked at the organizational level, the process level, and the performer level, I think that all of them in their own sense would have an impact, whether positive or negative, on the organization. So I don't think one impacts more than the other. But if I had to choose, I would probably say the organizational level. As a leader, one of my favorite quotes is "the fish rots from the head." So I think that everything kind of starts from the top and works its way down. So if the organization's missions and values are very clear and they're very set on it, then everything below that or that follows that will align with those missions and values. On the opposite end, if their mission and values are kind of ambiguous and not very clear or set in stone, then there will be kind of chaos at the lower levels. So looking at the PowerPoint, the organization level, understanding the environment in which the organization operates. So this is basically the organization's missions and values, what they stand for, and kind of the foundation for the entire organization. So I would say that this kind of sets the outline or the standard for the rest of the organization, and then it goes from there. The other discussion question was, what are some simple or cost-effective strategies for each level of performance for basically reinforcing those levels and, training the people in the organization for addressing those levels, right? So from the organizational level, I think just a town hall is a pretty straightforward and cost-effective measures. So having a town hall to explain to all employees the mission of the organization, the whys, the reasons behind it. Over last year, as I mentioned, my company had a lot of organizational changes. So a town hall was called just to explain the whys behind those changes and what that looks like for all the employees. So there's no ambiguity behind that why. As far as the process level, I think some type of visual or spreadsheet would be helpful. So like a flow chart that shows the processes, the whys behind it, and then kind of who's all involved in that process. So maybe sharing that process level to all employees, whether it's BCBAs, RPTs, operations managers, anyone involved, so that everyone has a visual copy of the process expectation. I think that's a reasonable and cost-effective measure. And as far as the performance level, I would say one-on-one meetings. So one-on-one meetings with your director, with your clinical director, with your BCBAs, whoever that looks like. So I know that when I'm meeting with my BCBAs, I'm discussing specifically one-on-one with about their expectations, any organizational changes that impact their expectations and roles. I think that's a reasonable and cost-effective way. So yeah.